Hello again. So today is currently January the 13th at around 10:30 p.m. So obviously it is pretty late. I'm currently trying to make some lunch for tomorrow. I start my master's program again tomorrow, and that'll be pretty interesting. I just got back from the bar with some of my friends. And before I start the video, I just want to talk about the importance of friendship. And I know obviously I don't have the most friends in the world and I'm not the best example of this, but I can say when anything is going on in your life, if you can just sit down, be with people who you know, laugh, talk, share your feelings and be real and have an honest discourse about it, I don't think there's a better feeling in the world. Because there's something that's deeper than love in that sense. It's just straight, plain, good old camaraderie. And I think that's something you can't beat. So I would just like to get on here and before I start the video, I think that's something that's insanely important, and yeah, it's something that makes me feel like everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, everything is gonna be okay and everything's gonna work out. So today, for video number 5, I would like to talk about the topic of betterment. And what inspired this kind of topic of betterment being the act of getting better at things and pushing yourself to do better at things, is a quote by Marcus Aurelius that is in one of his books. And I know I talked about Kierkegaard last video, and I've talked about some other philosophers, but obviously Marcus Aurelius is a wildly influential person, wildly influential philosopher. And something that he said in his meditations is that your only focus should be getting better at what you're doing. Your only focus should be getting better at what you're doing. And I think, obviously, the point of this in meditations is always put one foot in front of the other. You should be getting better at life and be getting better at love and all these things that you're doing. But I think in today's age, this kind of is transcended now, especially us being young people. And what do I mean by that? I think as young people, it's really hard to know that we're not losers, right? And it's really hard to know that you're not a loser because you're only comparing yourself to your parents, your peers, who you always are going to deem as winners, realistically, right? Comparing, why am I not like my dad now? Well, my dad's 30 years older than me. Was I ever supposed to be like my dad? Was I ever supposed to have the knowledge of my mom? Was I ever supposed to have the wherewithal and discipline as my dad? No, probably not, right? But I can never really look back at those people's lives and say, okay, this is what their life was like. I'm in a right spot, right? And it's hard for them to articulate those things, right? And you can never really look at your peers and say, okay, if my peer is here, then if my peer's down here, but I'm up here, then I'm in a good spot. Well, I would say you can't articulate that either because that also depends on your environment, right? Because I think often what people happen, especially to young people, we either get caught in environments that are really, really low, and we're just above that low environment, and we say, well, I must be awesome. I must be the best thing in the world. Well, in reality, your environment just sucks. Or we're in environments that are super, super high and super competitive and super toxic, and we're maybe just below it, and we're like, wow, I'm just the worst person in the world. I hate myself. I suck. But in reality, it's no, you're just in a hyper-competitive, toxic environment, and you're probably doing okay the whole time. And I would say, for the most part, you have super high up here, maybe 10%, super low down here, 10%. But 80% of people are probably just doing fine. They're doing what they ought to do, what they're supposed to do. And I think what's important about betterment and becoming better at things, like Marcus Aurelius said, is most people know what they ought to get better at, and they know what they ought to do. It's just about actually doing it is the hard part. Doing these things is hard. It sucks. It's not easy. And I think really kind of how I learned in my life, looking back on it, that I knew I was not a loser, is I just started doing things and becoming better at them, right? I started, I started weightlifting when I was a freshman in college. I never weightlifted before. I was always told to do it. Well, prior to that point, I was like, maybe I'm a loser. Okay, I'll start weightlifting. Oh, I got really good at this thing, I'm not too bad. I'm pretty strong now. I'm pretty disciplined. Okay. So maybe I'm not as much of a loser as I thought, right? Because I can do this. Oh, I got a girlfriend. well, I didn't really know how to be a lover, but now I kind of do know, and I kind of do know what I'm doing, and I kind of have this foundation of, I'm not with this person anymore, but I can move on and have this foundation of what's next. Well, I never had a lot of friends. Okay, now I do have a lot of friends. What does that look like? How can I be better at that? And then I think for me, it transited into even more simplistic things like sports. Like, okay, now I'm playing tennis. How can I get better at that? Now I'm playing pickleball. How can I get better at that? Now I'm running. How can I be a better runner? And I think for me, Betterment has become robotic in a sense, right? It's become, these are things that I ought to do. I think that can be very toxic for some people, right? Because for me, the Betterment, there's a lack of achievement. I'm never going to achieve great things in running because I'm always going to be pushing myself to be better than what I am. I think as time goes on, that will get better. As I grow up a little bit more, it's like, you can look and enjoy the roses and smell the roses and say, this time I got in running was really good. Okay, awesome. So I think at some point it will get better in that aspect. But I think just the idea of betterment, what's so important is like, you can't know, especially as young people, we can't know that we're not losers until we start becoming winners and getting better at stuff. You just can't know. You have no confirmatory evidence that says I'm not a loser. So I just think it's super important to push yourself and become better at things, right? And I don't think many people will view this, but I think if someone did view this, the message I would want to say is like, as Marcus Aurelius said, wherever you are in your life, your biggest focus needs to be getting better at things. Your biggest focus, your biggest priority needs to say, whatever I'm doing right now, I want to get better at the things I'm doing. I want to become a better friend, a better lover, a better person. And I think if you use those kind of broad elements, right? Even if it has nothing to do with anyone, maybe you're not in love, maybe you're not friends with anyone. Just, I want to be a better person for me, right? I want to be happier. I want to do better. I want to do more things, see more people, do whatever. And then, even translate into easy categories. I want to be better at soccer. I want to be better at running. I want to be better at pickleball. I want to be a better writer, poet, actor, dancer, whatever. I think all of these things are important, and I think for me at least, if you're striving to get better, you can never really be upset with where you are, right? You can never be upset with where you are because you always have a plan and an idea in your head of what you should look like, right? I'm here right now. I don't want to be here because I want to get better at this thing. I have this idea of this. But the thing is, when you become that, you now have a new idea of what you would become. So there's always something you're doing to get better. And for me, I think what's so interesting about bettering yourself and becoming better at things is each step of that is complete free dopamine. It's free dopamine. I'm here now. I'm making the transition to here. Maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I am there. This whole process, this whole journey, is just free dopamine, honestly. And I think Kobe said it. It's not the destination, it's the journey, right? But I think when you're trying to better yourself and you're trying to do things better, it's both. Not only are you get to enjoy the journey and becoming the thing, but the destination is crazy serotonin, crazy dopamine for your mind. You're just like, oh my God, I'm actually good at something. Holy hell, who would have thought? This pickleball thing. Wow, I was here, I sucked, and now I'm here, and it's like, I'm actually not too bad at this thing. Oh my gosh, this person I'm in love with. I'm here, I've never had a relationship, I don't even know who they are. My first relationship in college, oh my gosh, now I'm here, and it's been years, and it's like, well, I guess, I'm not too bad at that thing. I learned something along the way. And I think what's nice is you can take those experiences of betterment and you can shape further experiences of betterment. You almost like hone in on your craft of what betterment looks like for you. And yeah, I think for me, I've kind of just been honing in on the craft. This whole, that's what college was for me. It's honing in on the craft of things that I want to do. Now I can hone in on the craft further of things I want to do. And I think, I think just pursuing betterment in life, in my life, has been very important. And I think I would encourage anyone really to pursue betterment. So yeah, it is getting kind of late. It's already 10:40, and I'm currently trying to finish making lunch for tomorrow, and I do have to get to bed for work. So I know this is a brief video. That's okay. I'm hoping the audio is good, obviously. I think the audio will be fine. I tried to cover up the chicken so it wasn't as loud like in video number 2. yeah, I think the editing on this will go pretty well since it's kind of a shorter video. It's only around 10 or 11 minutes, but I think that will be fine. So I think, to conclude, betterment is very important in life. Betterment will make you happy. Betterment will show you who you are. Betterment will allow you who you want to be, right? It will make you, it will mold you, it will grab you while you're kicking and screaming and make you who you want to be. Because in reality, it's just you making you. It's always you versus you in life, really. Because people know what they ought to do. It's just a matter of actually doing those things. So if you have the idea of what you ought to do, then my advice is just to try it and do it. Because you don't even have to make the huge leap from here to over here, because sometimes the journey of getting there is pretty goddamn awesome. So yeah, that concludes video number 5. As always, I don't think anyone will watch this, but if you do, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.